basically the show is still dedicated to the oneness. The show is called Bridging Heaven and Earth, as most of you know. And when we put on the opening, we put on that poem or paragraph of dedicated to the oneness, what we're trying to say is that there is an experience that we could all have where that love, where that connection between us all is really what is the true life force and the true connection between us all, and that is the potential and the reality of a human life. And that our hope in Bridging Heaven and Earth and all the time and energy so many people put into making this show come together, and usually it comes together with an opening and a closing. Tonight we might not be able to do that, is in that attempt to bring you, the audience, and we, the hosts and the guests of this show, together to bring that love and that consciousness and those ideas of love and those experiences of love, of oneness, of the lack of separation, more and more into each of our lives. And for all of us who are participating in this, you out in the audience who are calling and reaching us by email, the time is now to do that. The time is now. I remember on the last show I was talking about to treat each other as we'd want to be treated. And this week we've been getting a lot of calls about that. And people are saying, well, that is true. We should treat each other as human beings as we'd like to be treated. But we also want to extend that love and extend that connection to the dolphins, the trees, the oceans, that we're all part of that whole, that is a necessity now for that expansion to take place. And we don't have the time to wait now. There's too much happening. We had a meeting before the show, and one of the people, the director of the show, Jeff Azevedo, was saying that this week on Earth here, there were two more, in America, there were two more shootings in a church, in a synagogue, in a daycare center. And those things are going to happen, and it's time that we stop those things from happening, that we had the experience that all these people, whatever race, religion, color, sexual preference, age, there is no separation. Behind all those seeming differences is that truth, is that love. And that oneness is what Bridging Heaven and Earth is about. And tonight, again, we have videos, we have guests, a guest tonight, Sheoli Makara, whose life's work is to bring that recognition once again, to spread it, to bring it more into her life, and to let that love flow through her into all those she comes in contact with. She's the founder and facilitator of Awakening in Paradise retreats, which includes, usually, I think they always take place in Hawaii, with swimming with the dolphins and other sea creatures, whales. And she takes people on ceremonies at the Hawaiian sacred sanctuaries. And the purpose of that is to strengthen their connection to the Creator Spirit and the higher self. And her life is just one more continuation of that love of the dolphins, that love of the sea, that love of each other, and that love of herself. And we also have two magnificent videos tonight. So please join with us in an experience of love, an experience of truth, an experience of dedication again tonight. And as we normally do at this time, we have a short meditation. If you know how to do a meditation, do it. If not, close your eyes, follow your breath for a little while. If not, just be quiet, just settle into your chair, and just let this night take you more into an experience of the connectedness of us all, of all things. And in that, we can really live and make this earth a bountiful place for all of us. So please join me in a short meditation. Thank you. So we're going to start tonight's show with a video that a Sufi spiritual master, Sheikh, you'll see the name. I try every time I try one of these things, it comes out like mashed potatoes. But he's a Sufi spiritual master from Senegal, and the crew here, or 4 people involved with Bridging Heaven and Earth, went out and shot this. He spoke in Santa Barbara. Sheoli Flanders was the producer of it. Gregory Allen was the editor. Pat was the titles, and Jeff Azevedo, who's our director, he was the videographer for this. So whenever we're ready with the Sheikh video, listen to his message, and it's the same message as what we've been talking about, and it's really that message of love we want to impart.
In this house of unicity and the unity of God,
je me réjouis de prendre la parole.
I'm happy to, this is a great pleasure for me to talk to you.
L'unité parce que nous sommes tous issus d'un seul Dieu.
Why unity? Because we are originated from one God, all of us.
Ce même Dieu a créé un seul ancêtre pour nous tous.
This one God have created one ancestor, original ancestor for all of us.
Nous avons une seule terre.
We have one earth.
Cette terre a une seule lune.
This earth have one moon.
Elle est éclairée par un seul soleil.
And be lighted by one sun.
Chacun d'entre nous a un seul cœur.
Each one of us have one heart.
Le Seigneur, que vous l'appelez God ou Dieu ou Allah ou Khuda ou Dundare, c'est le même Dieu.
This God you're calling God, Allah, Dundare, Amitai, or all the name you wanted, all across the cultures, is the one and the same God.
C'est le Dieu de Moïse, c'est le Dieu d'Abraham.
Is the God of Moses, is the God of Abraham.
C'est le Dieu de Zacharia, c'est le Dieu de Jean-Baptiste.
Is the God of Zachariah and the God of John the Baptist.
C'est le Dieu de Noé, c'est le Dieu de Bouddha.
Is the God of Noah and the God of Buddha.
C'est le Dieu de Jésus, c'est le Dieu de Mohammed.
He is the God of Jesus and the God of Muhammad.
Il est temps que nous les hommes,
it's time for men,
que nous comprenions le sens de l'unicité,
to understand the meaning of unity.
Car je suis persuadé que la paix dans cette terre ne régnera que lorsque nous serons.
For I'm sure that the peace will reign in this earth only when
que nous saurons que nous avons un seul Dieu.
When we will deeply know and surely know that we have only one God.
Un même Dieu.
The same God.
Un même ancêtre.
The same ancestor.
Une même terre.
In the same earth.
Et une même paix.
And the same peace we're seeking for.
Nous avons tous le même ancêtre, Adam et Ève.
We coming from one same ancestor, Adam and Eve.
Quelqu'un disait que le 3e millénaire.
Someone said that this 3rd millennium.
Il se posait la question de savoir sera-t-elle spirituelle ou non.
He was asking the question if that new millennium will be spiritual or not.
Je réponds moi oui.
I answer yes. It will be. It will be.
Ce sera la vraie spiritualité.
It will be the real spirituality.
Chacun saura.
Everybody will know
que la vérité, une partie de la vérité est avec chacun d'entre nous.
Everybody will know that we don't get only one part of the truth.
Et il faut qu'on se regroupe pour regrouper la vérité en une seule vérité.
And we need to gather all these different parts of the truth to have one deep and strong truth.
Je vais conclure par une prière.
I'm going to conclude with a prayer.
Que Dieu mette la paix dans les cœurs, dans les âmes, dans les corps.
May God put peace on the bodies, in the heart, and in the souls.
Que Dieu mette la paix dans les déserts.
And He put peace on the desert,
dans les grandes villes et dans les campagnes.
in the big cities, in the countryside,
dans les bidonvilles.
in the ghettos.
Que Dieu fasse descendre l'harmonie dans les foyers de tension.
And bring harmony where we have tensions.
Que Dieu donne la paix à ceux qui veulent s'instruire.
And give peace to one who wants to seek knowledge.
Que Dieu donne la paix à celui qui veut se soigner.
And give this peace to one who wants to heal and to be healed.
Que Dieu donne la paix à toute l'humanité.
And give the peace to all the humanity.
Ici et maintenant et demain dans le futur.
Now, here, and tomorrow, in the future.
Frères et sœurs en Dieu, que la paix soit sur vous. Assalamu alaikum. Salam, salam, salam.
And brothers and sisters, peace be upon you. Peace, peace, and peace.
Yeah, hi, welcome. We're on the set with Sheoli. Hi, Sheoli. Welcome to the Bridging Heaven and Earth, such as it is today.
Thank you, Alan. It's good to be here.
So, how did you get involved with swimming with dolphins and healing with dolphins and just, setting up your retreats and things like that?
Well, I've had an affinity with the dolphins ever since I was a child. And it wasn't until 1983 that I was vacationing off the western coast of Mexico, and I was swimming with my husband, and all of a sudden this pod of dolphins came up and greeted us, and we just had so much fun.
And you were in the pool, so it was at the hotel. It's only a joke.
Oh. Anyway, so we would go out every morning and swim with them, and we were there for 2 weeks, and it was just wonderful. And then we would continue taking vacations in Hawaii and in the Bahamas and Jamaica and around, and the dolphins would always find me. So that's how it started. That's almost how it started. And then I took a spiritual sojourn up to Mount Shasta in 1996 and lived there for 3 years. And in 1996, that's when all my experience, my creative background, my spiritual background, everything came together. And I was invited by a woman that's been on your show, Kamala, Julianne Everett, and we did our first Awakening in Paradise together.
So you started with her, and she was doing like lectures and workshops, and you were swimming with the dolphins?
Well, we were co-facilitating the group. There was 30 of us, and I was the person to take people out and instruct them how to be with the dolphins, what to do, what not to do, the laws and all that people need to know before they swim with dolphins. And then also doing some workshop material with the group.
And so, what effect have you seen with people swimming with dolphins? I mean, we've had other people on the show, and just the results have been unbelievable, and just people's lives have changed.
Well, we've seen what I call miracles. For example, there was a man that wasn't able to lift his arm past shoulder height for 7 years. And he had gone to naturopathic doctors as well as conventional doctors. He had done everything, and nothing helped him. So he came to the retreat, and not for the reason to heal that shoulder, but he just came to the retreat because his wife found it, and they came. And he went in the water with the dolphins, and he came out yelling and screaming with his hands way above his head, and letting everybody see that he was healed. And he shared this in the circle with the rest of the people, and then other people started noticing that aches and pains and chronic illnesses were just gone. And I sit back and just watch this, and it's partly the dolphins, and it's also their willingness to let go. So the combination of the two really works for people.
And it's also not only on the physical level. I mean, people have breakthroughs in terms of heart-opening experiences and, losing fears and things like that. Why don't you describe that a little?
Absolutely. It's so delightful to see, and there's been so many experiences. For example, there was a woman that had come to the first retreat. Well, actually, out of 28 people, Julianne and I making 30, there were only 8 people that were comfortable in the water.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
It was, and I had learned at that point to trust and let go and know that we're totally taken care of and protected. And so we dealt with it. Well, one person was phobic, aquaphobic, and she came there to heal that phobia. And it took her only 3 days, and she was in the water with the dolphins and swimming with everybody else. Now she had a life jacket on, of course, because she had never been in the water before. Other people have healed from emotional stress. There was a young boy, about 10 years old, that had come to the retreat with his mother, and he had a leg deformed. It was a birth deformity, and so the mother was holding all this guilt about it. The boy was having all these struggles in school, 10 years old, and he couldn't do what the other kids could do, and he was feeling very much less than everybody else. And I took the two of them out on the kayak. Everybody else usually goes out from shore, and then had him go overboard off the kayak, and this dolphin came up to the boy and flipped underneath him, belly up, and just was nuzzling his leg, just nuzzling, and it was the right leg. And after about 5 minutes of this, we were all just amazed. I had never seen anything like this. Then the dolphin dove down and then leapt up out of the water, did a spin, and then took off and joined the rest of the dolphins. And then we also were swimming with another group of dolphins. Well, after that, in circle, we all come together and share how was your day, what happened. And the boy stood up, and it brought us all to tears, and declaring that he was as gifted as everybody else on the planet, and he could do anything that he put his mind to, and he no longer was disabled. Now, the physical deformity was still there, but his entire outlook on himself had shifted, and his mother testified that she was guilt-free, that she felt the same way her boy did, that he could do anything and that his life was a gift as much as anybody else's. So it ranges from, the full use of an arm to miracles like that of shifting one's consciousness of how they feel about themselves. And also an interesting thing happens when people are in the water for about 15 minutes, and you probably know this from flotation tank experiments, that this is a scientifically proven fact, that when people are in the water for no longer than 15 minutes, they're being rocked gently, it's warm, they're buoyant, that they activate other parts of their brain, the alpha, the omega, and other aspects of their brain. And so all of a sudden we become extremely telepathic. We're using more of our brain than we ever do, like the dolphins do. They use both hemispheres of the brain equally. And so then we become very telepathic with each other, and it's really fun. And it brings us closer to the knowing that we are all one in different bodies, and it's a beautiful way to bring people together, and it happens so naturally and effortlessly.
And what about the dolphins do you think brings this out? I mean, what about their gifts or their experience? What about them helps us as human beings do that?
Well, they're master healers. A lot of the experiences I've witnessed with myself and people with the dolphins are similar to the stories that I heard told about the healing abilities of Jesus. Very similar energy. The dolphins, as you know, have sonar, echolocation, and so they can go up to a person and scan them and see what's out of balance. And then through their vibrational sound healing, or their vibrations that they make, the clicks and whistles, they are able to put what has been out of balance back in balance. And they've done that so many times with me, with all the physical changes I've gone through, and others. And so just being, say, within a mile of the dolphins, and they do come very close, but even being a mile away from them, you still gain the benefits. So you could go out in Hawaii or anywhere the dolphins are and be in a boat and not even know that that's happening, and all of a sudden you feel different.
So you think it's almost vibrationally? Their vibration is at a level that affects our vibration, because everything is vibrational.
Yes.
So, in other words, like they're almost raising our vibration to their vibration. In most cases, I mean, it's not that humans can't have that high a vibration, would you say?
I agree, and humans have that potential, and some people are already experiencing that, where they could come into a studio like this and completely, the cameras go out, the sound goes out, I hope the lights don't go out, and
Yeah, we're hoping that too.
And that does happen. You know, you walk by a lamppost and it goes out. The dolphins show us our higher potential as far as just about everything, about discerning and feeling and trusting feelings, being open and available to ourselves as well as others, to be helpful to others. That's one of the things that the dolphins are so known for, is helping. They help rescue people at sea. They help kayakers that get tired and are stuck in a current. I was stuck in a current one time out in Kealakekua Bay, and I'm a very strong swimmer, and I could not get out of it. And I was getting more tired and more tired, and I was about a mile away from where I needed to be. And so I called the dolphins in. I called them and I asked them for help, just from telepathically. And about, say, just a couple minutes later, this whole group came right underneath me. Then they turned around, facing the way I was facing, and literally with their energy field pulled me out. And then they escorted me back. They
pulled you out of the
current.
The ripped current, or whatever it was. Wow, that's fantastic. So you have a lot of personal experience. Like, how many times would you say have you been swimming? Like hundreds, thousands now?
Well, since 1983, I'd say hundreds of times.
Hundreds. And what is your personal experience in terms of the life-changing events? I mean, I know you've written about it, and I've seen articles about it and things like that.
They help me to understand spiritual concepts that I have read about and have even spoken about, and they help me to really get it and start living it. I vowed many years ago to live my life in love-based consciousness, yet I wasn't. And I would preach it and speak about it, and I wasn't really fully doing that. And a group of dolphins were swimming with me really close, I'd say about 30 of them, and we were just weaving in and out of the waves, and it was very meditative and very quiet. They weren't making any sounds, and it was just like the most beautiful meditation. And all of a sudden I heard this voice that said, "We understand you've chosen not to be mated, and that's all right. What we'd like to know is, did you make that choice out of fear or love?"
Mated with a human mate.
Right.
Marriage or that kind of relationship.
Yes, well, a little history. After my husband passed away, I just said, that's it. You know,
enough's enough.
That was wonderful. I thank God for it, and I just was afraid, really, to go back and open myself like that again and to have such loss. And so they reminded me that I was making that choice out of fear, and the choice was mine. Did they remind
you, or they asked you the question and then you knew?
They asked me the question, and I just, it was funny, my reaction, I just felt busted, you know, because here I was, totally, caught with my flippers off. And so I realized then, and I just started splashing around and diving around and just, you know, like, they busted me. And they were doing the same thing. They were so excited I got it, you know, just like that. And, you know, they give their messages loud and clear. And how I feel it through the feeling body and then get it intellectually. But I feel it first. And that's one of the things that I help people to do with their human experience as well as their dolphin interaction and interactions with all beings, is not to touch like with the hands, but to feel with the heart. And so we have a no-touch policy around the dolphins and all sea mammals. The turtles are there, they're very friendly, they come very close, and someone asked me, oh, can we ride on their backs? No. How would you like it if somebody came, you're walking down the street and jumped on your back? And so, you know...
That's a potential one. If all things being equal, you never can tell it.
Well, the turtles don't like it very much.
They don't?
No.
Really?
No, really? They don't. They don't. And so it's about retraining people from, you know, having to go and touch and like this, but really touching from the heart. And so that's one of the largest benefits that I feel that my retreats give, and the experience of being with the dolphins.
And do you find that that in this time, as we're coming into the new age and, you know, 2000 millennium and all that, that more and more people are being drawn to these types of retreats?
Absolutely. I get calls every day and emails constantly of people saying they've been having dreams about dolphins, and they've been, you know, feeling a call to be with them, or people that, I live near Monterey, and there's this one woman that jogs every day and along the coast of Monterey, and she's lived there all her life, and all of a sudden dolphins are jumping and going in the same direction she's jogging. People going to their doctor and getting an appointment card, and they flip it over and it's a dolphin, and they look through the rest of the pack and there are all these other animals. And you know, that they are getting the call, and I think that they're getting this call because they're ready to expand, and their soul knows it. Their mind may not be aware of it, but they know intuitively in their heart of hearts that they're really ready to make that next leap.
Now, do you find that, well, let me ask it this way. What is your experience with people's understanding of how to deal with dolphins and things like that?
You mean how to be with them?
Yeah, how to be with them. I mean, it's because it's new, right? It's a new, and they're so excited. I mean, it's almost like a little kid. I mean, right? Very
much so. The child comes out in everybody. Most people are aware of dolphins through Flipper, through the TV show. And then I never saw it, but I believe there was another Flipper that came out again on television.
I missed the Flipper series.
Yeah, so did I. And they also see whales and dolphins in captivity at marine parks. So that's usually their experience, and they see people holding on to the dorsal fin and having the whale or the dolphin pull them along and do all these tricks. And so that's what they think they can do. So they come, you know, they call me first, and I tell them about dolphin etiquette, and those are things you don't do. There was a 1978 law that was passed protecting marine mammals, and so you're not legally supposed to go 50 yards, any closer than 50 yards to a dolphin, and like 500 to a whale.
Now, what if they come to you?
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine. And so
you can't be chasing them.
No, and who could catch a whale or a dolphin anyway?
Gotta swim, you'd have to see if you could swim that shit.
Hydroplane, maybe.
Right, yeah.
And so I teach people how to call the dolphins in verbally, and also to have their heart open and do their very best to release all expectations and simply be one with the water. And when they do that, and they sing to them, or they tone right through their snorkel, call to them, make dolphin sounds, whatever they like to do, and that attracts the dolphins. They're curious. They want to see who's making the sound. And if you're toning or singing, the dolphins really like that. And so they'll come up to be closer to your vibration. And so that's how I teach people to be with the dolphins. And there is a no-touch policy. I have people keep their hands by their sides, or right in front of them, or behind their back. Hands and arms extending out, that's very threatening to the dolphins. They know that humans kill with these. And so it's sort of like if you're walking down the street and somebody pulled a rifle up, you'd go in the opposite direction real fast, and that's what the dolphins do. I learned that my very first dolphin experience, when they were coming really close, and I went, oh my God, I couldn't believe it, and they were right here looking at me, and I just did the human thing, and I went to reach out, my hand wasn't fully extended, and they were gone. So it defeats the purpose if you try to reach out and touch them. They don't like it.
Okay, well, maybe what we'll do is see the video we have now. We've put together, we pulled it off the Rainbow Family video, and it's called We Shall Lift Each Other Higher, and the music and lyrics by I-C-H-E-L-L-E, I don't know, I Shall. And if people aren't aware, we've shown this before, and we've gotten some requests to show other of these rainbow videos and the songs from them. For 25 years, or over 25 years now, there's been a yearly gathering which, you know, hundreds and thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of people attend every year. And basically it's just a a mass prayer for peace, and there's singing and dancing and campfires and all living together in again, a dedication to that oneness. And whenever we're ready with that, it's the Rainbow Family video.
Humble yourself in the side of your sister. You got to bend down low. Humble yourself in the side of your brother. Ask him what he knows. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up. Humble yourself in the side of the children. You got to bend down low. Humble yourself in the side of the children. We need to know what they know. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up. Humble yourself in the sight of love. You got to bend down low. Humble yourself in the sight of child love, and let your love light show up. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up. We shall. We're sending our love out to the four corners of the earth. Higher and higher. To the ones that need our strength right now. To our brothers and sisters in jail or in prison. Higher and higher. To the homeless and the hungry. To the lonely. We shall lift each other. The mothers and the fathers struggling to feed the children. Higher and higher. We shall them to feel us right now. Remember, go where there's darkness and despair, and show that you can. We shall lift each other. Yeah, that's right. Come on. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up. We shall lift each other up. Higher and higher. We shall lift each other up, 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 up.
All right, well, Thank you. We're back on the set with Sheoli. Hi. So you're also involved with setting up a foundation to really bring this experience and bring creativity and perhaps even the dolphin experience through to children throughout the world. Isn't that something you're, like the next step for you that seems to be happening?
Yes, it's been a dream of mine for several years. My personal background is I was raised by two wonderful people, and one of those wonderful people, my father, was very abusive with me, and so my mother did everything she possibly could to keep me out of the house. And so she took me to museums and art galleries and ice skating classes, dance classes, acting classes, sculpting classes. I was busy, and I was so happy because I was doing all this creative stuff. And I've shared my tales of woe with a few close friends in the past, and they've always asked me the same thing: how did you turn out so well adjusted? Yeah.
And then you said, if my thought streams could be seen, they put my head in the guillotine.
Yeah, it's still hard to admit that.
Right.
But anyway, and so I was thinking about it one day on the beach.
How well do you know me? Is the
Yeah,
question.
exactly. You're not with me 24 hours a day. And I knew that it was through creativity that I was saved, that I found my center. I found my connection to spirit. No church, no nothing. My parents brought all of their children up with no religious training, thank God. And so it was through creativity that I found my foundation and my center and my self-esteem, and no one could ever take that from me. You know, the abuse carried on until I was 14. However, I was very strong and in my center and courageous and determined and a visionary as a child. And
humble.
And very humble. And I attribute that to my mother teaching me and taking me to learn through creativity. So at that point, when this dawned on me, this light went on, that's how I survived so well, I developed what I call creative activation programs specifically for children like myself that came from those situations. So I'm in the process of creating a foundation, co-creating a foundation with somebody, and we're going to open these centers at different places around the country, starting with New York City, going to Washington, D.C., then the southern states, and then working our way around. So we're looking at creating these centers as networks all around the country for children, and especially children that don't have the opportunities to learn anything of the creative arts. Maybe they're going to public schools and they don't have that offered any longer, music, dance, whatever kind of art, performing and creative. And so this will give them an opportunity to connect in with their creative spirit and see where that takes them.
And so you've run into somebody who's done this before and has financial wherewithal to actually do it. I mean, so it seems to be really happening.
Yes, I actually, when I first had the idea, I didn't have the funds or the wherewithal to actually manifest it. So I did give the idea to someone up in San Francisco who is currently created the foundation and is doing it in the Tenderloin for the children in the Tenderloin in San Francisco. So that was just something I just said, here, you have the wherewithal, you do it, and they did, and it's working. And so I guess that was, we could use that as a model, and I know from my experiences of teaching and giving workshops and retreats and using the creative activation programs within the retreats, etc., that it works.
And hopefully, if it worked out, that these activation programs would include trips to Hawaii or trips to places where they could swim with the dolphins and other creatures and all that, right?
Oh, absolutely. We have children come to almost every retreat. We have people as young as 3 and up to, I think, 78. And so there's no limitation at all as far as who can come. I explain very thoroughly what it is that we do, and if they feel that that's something that they are interested in, and if I feel that it's appropriate for them to come too. There's certain rules, I guess you could say, that if people don't feel they can abide by, such as drinking no alcohol, no drugs, it's a complete awakening. We're not sleeping and snoozing in paradise. We're awakening in paradise, and that's
No, resting in paradise.
we're not unconscious in
Can
paradise.
you play Dolphin? Is that?
Either before or after the
Right,
retreat. Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to swing any golf balls out where there's dolphins.
Right. And also there are certain other things. I mean, do you do it out in the open ocean? Do you do it, I mean, in a preserve? I mean, how is that done? I mean, they're even at hotels now in a...
Well, these are free dolphins, non-captive dolphins,
Right.
and there's a wonderful, magical, sacred sanctuary that is called Kealakekua Bay, which translated into English means gateway or pathway of the gods. And this has been, this area has been revered as sacred forever, as far as back as the history goes of the Hawaiians. And there's heiaus, or sacred sanctuaries, on land all around this bay. And so the dolphins come in to rest and mate and nurture their young after they hunt. They hunt at night, and then they come into the bay in the morning, and there they are. And so they're usually full.
Which island is this on?
This is the Big Island, on the Kona coast, the west coast. And so we take people out to this sanctuary. There's no wake zone. There's no boats allowed. There's only kayaks. You can take kayaks out. No jet skis, no parasails, none of that.
And that's by regulation of the Kona...
The state of Hawaii.
The state of Hawaii, for that area, because it's a sanctuary.
It is. It's a sanctuary, and it's a marine preserve. And there's all kinds of wonderful aquatic life.
And the dolphins, if they wanted to, they could leave and never come back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're totally free. They've never been in captivity. They're usually the spinner dolphins, and they're about our height. They're pretty small dolphins. They're not the large bottlenose. Sometimes the bottlenose come in and the Atlantic spotteds come in all together. There's anywhere from 60 to 300 dolphins in the bay at a time.
And basically, are there a lot of groups? I mean, when you go out there, like 5,000 kayaks going out. It's not like that.
No, it depends on the season. Around spring break, there's more people there than usual. But no, it's a pretty quiet neighborhood. It is a neighborhood where we have our houses and have the retreat site. There's no commercial endeavors there whatsoever.
I mean, can anybody go and rent a kayak, or have to? So a single person could go and say, "I want to go, rent a kayak, jump." Would you anchor the kayak? Is that what you do?
It's a good idea to anchor the kayak. Otherwise, you're swimming with the dolphins and you look up and you don't see your kayak anywhere. So it's a good idea to do that.
So you'd anchor the kayak, jump out of the thing, and then just wait.
Right.
More or less.
Yeah, you basically wait for them to come to you. What they do is they're swimming around and they're jumping and spinning and playing, and so they have the whole bay, and it's about a mile, like half moon shape, and so they'll swim out together and then they'll come back around. So if you're here, they'll eventually come back to you, and then they go into sleep mode. And when they go into sleep mode, at that point we go in.
How do you know they're in sleep mode?
They're so cute. They sleep with half.
They take a pillow out.
Now the dolphins have no belongings.
No, I know you told me that. That's what we think.
No belongings.
Right.
They sleep with half their brain, and the other half is active. So their one eye is closed.
I know most people live like that. About 90% is asleep.
And so you'll see them swimming along, and you'll see one little wrinkly eye closed, and it's so sweet. And then the other eye is looking at you. Sometimes they'll be swimming right in front, and then they'll look at you from this side, and then
So
this side, the eye's closed.
I mean, it isn't exactly sleeping like a human sleeps, because they're like half awake, right?
Well, yeah, they have to be, so they come up and get air, and also for protection, because there could be predators, and usually in the bay they're safe. There's no their predators aren't in there, like sharks or orcas.
So if somebody disturbed them, would they be cranky at that point? I mean,
They just move away.
They would move away.
They would move away. And then there's the teenagers, and you can always tell the teenagers because they're a little bit smaller and they're very spunky, and they don't go to bed, or sleep rather, when everybody else does. You know, so you see the large group, and they stay kind of low, and then they'll come up really slowly for air, and then they'll go back down very methodically.
So their activities are different when they're in sleep mode, more or less.
Very different. You can tell the behavior is different. And like I said, during that time, we like to leave them alone. We don't like to disturb them when they're resting. And then there may be a few teenagers that are bopping around, and they're all active and coming and jumping and spinning and playing with people. And so then that's fine. But when you can see that they're slowing down and then they have the one eye closed, you basically want to leave them to their peace.
And also you're inspired, or a poem came through you, however you would describe it. Do you want to read that poem now, or do it? And
yeah, I would. It really...
Yeah, why don't you give a little background?
It really captures what it's like to be with them on a very deeply spiritual level, on a playful level, on a feeling of family, that the dolphins recognize us as they're part of them.
Right.
Yes, that they know that, and they show that, and they show us such love and trust and acceptance and pure love. And I wrote this after a retreat about 1.5 years ago, and it just came out just so perfectly. And I guess the best way to continue to describe the feeling is to read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is called Dolphin Dance. In a faraway turquoise sea, the family of dolphins come to me. They remember who I am and lovingly greet me as only dolphins can, leaping in the air with graceful flips and spins, then returning by my side with joyful, familiar grins, inviting me to join them, weaving patterns through the sea, inviting me to open to that place where I am free. Held in these warm waters, feeling newly born, surrounded by this family, I know I am home. We play and touch and frolic beneath the gentle waves. They show me where we came from, etched on ancient caves. They awaken all my memories of who I've been before, then help me find forgiveness, to suffer nevermore. It's now your time, they tell me, to join with all like souls, to take your stance in the world, accepting your new roles. We're on the edge, they tell me. We must forgive the past and live our lives from our hearts, allowing peace at last. Remind all whose path you cross, simply by being you, living in God's consciousness. From this, they'll take their cue. We are always with you and are grateful for your grace. Your loving light connects us in a heartbeat to this place. So call on us to help you, and know we will be there. And now come dance our dance with us, and love and play and share. And on we danced till sunset, and on into dream time, until the new day's dawning, and resumed our dance divine.
Well, our crew seemed to like it. All the camera people here going, boy, that was good, that was good. Of course, they're not supposed to be saying anything. You're not supposed to be paying attention. You're actually supposed to be doing the cameras, but not on our show. We have a very participatory group here.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
Yes, you did like it. So, actually, before I forget, when we talk again with Sheoli, if anybody wants any information about the retreats, the workshops, the website, how to get information about it, please call me, Alan, 805-687-2053. That's Alan, 805-687-2053. So, do you plan on setting up these, these like schools all over? I mean, is that like coming up real soon, do you think, or?
In 2000, they'll be born. They'll be born relatively soon. I have the business plan. I have everything all mapped out. This has been something that's been in my mind and in my computer for years in designing it. It's something I have been working on continuously. So it's all ready, set to go. We'll just put the wheels in motion, and they'll be born one at a time all around the United States.
And the plan is to set these things up where just all the creative possibilities are made available to children of all kinds, especially abused children and children in trouble in a way.
Yes, and also children that don't have the creative arts available to them in their schools or in their communities.
And more of that is getting cut out because of funding and things like that. So, I mean, the arts programs that maybe you and I went to when we were, because when we did it, they had papyrus or something. No, not that old, but now, I mean, they really are cutting out a lot of the art programs.
That's right.
And even the shop programs, the creative things like that.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, and we'll also be offering evening classes for adults as well, because I find that even though I design creative activation programs specifically for children, I've been using them in my workshops and retreats and the like.
A lot of abused adults in one form or another.
And it really helps them. There was a man that has come to my last 2 retreats, and when he first came, he was very introverted and very shy and self-conscious, and he walked around kind of protecting himself like this. And about probably 3 or 4 days into the retreat, he just opened up, and then we have a creative share night, so people get to present something, maybe 5 minutes long or less, creatively, and he picked up a flute that, I bring instruments and things to the retreats, and he picked up a flute and he learned how to play it, and he played pavan that night. And so at the next retreat, this last retreat that he came to in August, he was singing to us, and he was so magnificent and so open, and it just took just some play. And that's one of the things that the Dolphins, of course, are really good at reminding us to do, is to be in joy and to play and to have fun and to let our creative spirit soar completely free. One of the things I invite people to do right from the very beginning, from the first phone call when they call me, and also from the first day of the retreat, is to live as freely as you've ever dreamt you could and ever wanted to in your life. To do it, be it, live it now. And
what are you waiting for?
Yeah, this is it.
I didn't know.
This is it. And so the Dolphins help. I encourage people, of course, and then the Dolphins help because they're jumping and flying and spinning through the air. And
Vibrationally, they are like that.
Yes.
I mean, you know what I mean? But they're not, I mean, I'm not saying you're just saying it, because obviously you're not, but I mean, it's just, the more someone is really experiencing that, I mean, being around them, I mean, it's just, how can you not
it changes
experience
people.
it, right?
I invite people, when they first come to the circle, we start the retreat around 4 p.m.
This is before you've gone out.
Before we've done anything, the very first day, and you see people in various states of tension and expectation, and you look around the room at everybody's face, and then the next day we go out with the Dolphins, and then you look around the room at it. They're already changed. And then by the end of the retreat, they're free. They're free. It just happens.
And see, the problem sometimes, or the situation sometimes, that people go back into their lives in the same habit patterns. But you find that, has it broken through? Has it lifted so that the momentum is really changed in that way, right?
Well, yes, I refer to what you're talking about, going someplace and being free and then going back home and then you're back to where you were before.
Yeah, with
the
rubber habits.
Right. I call that the rubber band effect, that you just snap back. That doesn't happen. I stay in touch with everybody through email and phone calls and etc. People stay in touch with me. They're just so grateful for the experience, and they keep evolving. They keep growing. They continue.
How does that fit in with that they have the same job, and people, that people have, most other people and their wives and children, where they come back and basically, wish the same thing?
People notice the difference. This one friend of mine, she's now become a friend. She's come to the last 3 retreats, and she told me that every time her husband sees her after the retreats, he says she's more beautiful, she's more youthful, she's more loving and generous and available than ever before. A lot of times...
But he doesn't want to come.
Well, he doesn't want to come, that's true.
He doesn't want to be in those
It's a spiritual retreat, so he'd
God
rather...
forbid he should be more open and loving.
He's one of the... Well, he gets it from her, though. Right. See, that's what happens. So the people go from the retreat back to their lives, and it's that ripple effect, so it affects everybody.
Right. Okay, I guess, as we normally do at this time, the show's over quicker than we thought. And once again, thank you for coming. It's been an incredible experience. You and I both want to thank Sheoli for coming, and she came all the way in from Monterey just to do the show, and she's going back in a few days. And once again, just thank you all for coming. Thank you for all your emails and all your support and all your inspiration and all your help in getting us on in more and more cities. In the last month or so, we've gotten on in 7 new cities, including Atlanta and Boston and Albuquerque and Reading and just a whole bunches of places. So just thank you for coming. Keep coming. Good night. God bless you.